Hello and welcome back to Fear the Waves Inside the Wave. This is your host, Isaac Popper. Hope you enjoyed yesterday's breakdown of the Jake Retzlaff transfer. I gave a total primer discussing many things regarding Jake Retzlaff, why there's a buzz, what the quarterback battle looks like, what was the timeline of his recruitment, and a preview of fall camp as well in terms of the practice schedule. Tulane practiced yesterday, Wednesday, for the first time at Yulman Stadium to open up fall camp after reporting the day before on Tuesday. Today they practice at Airline, the Shrine on Airline, and that is because, as Gary Smith reported, it is a grass field to help try to prevent injuries, especially given the New Orleans heat right now. And then tomorrow, what many people are waiting for will be the first Jake Retzlaff media session. There was media today, but Jake Retzlaff will speak to the media for the first time on Friday. If you haven't already, in addition to my video from yesterday, make sure you check out the Fear the Wave cast. Also aired overnight, last night, the defensive position by position preview. This one is for subscribers only, but done not only with Jake Weinstock and Jimmy O, but also the great Kelly Camarda, who is working for the team as the director of roster management for your Tulane football team. And there's also some articles on the Substack as well as through the subscription-based service. Jake Weinstock broke down a reloaded cornerback room and how it's taking shape. There's also a 2-deep depth chart before training camp or fall camp opens up that Jake posted. And there was an offensive position by position preview for subscribers only as well. That's just some of the top content. There's some other great content on there. Jake posted a really detailed preview about Jake Retzlaff coming to Tulane Green Wave. And if you go on the Fear the Wave Twitter account, you'll see some videos from Mincy, Shadre Hurst, Larry Rout, some great players and alums and supporters of Tulane football who have been promoting Fear the Wave. So we appreciate their support. Just wanted to thank them all and let you know what was coming up on the content side. So now to today's episode. This is going to be a shorter one. I just wanted to talk about the upcoming schedule for this season as we took a spring break and are now back. So in May, the ESPN put out some updates in terms of network announcements. So we have a better sense at the very end of May and throughout the entire summer now of what types of national TV games Tulane is going to get this year. So I would say that there's going to be a minimum of 3 games on ESPN this year. That's not a guarantee, but the Memphis game is guaranteed to be on the flagship, ESPN. That game is on November 7th. It's a night game, which is exciting. I believe that is a Friday as well, and it is. So a Friday night game on ESPN, similar to when Memphis and Tulane played on Friday the 13th in the House of Horrors 2 years ago. Last time Tulane was in Memphis, it was on national TV on that Friday night slot. And then there's 2 games between ESPN and ESPN2 right now, but those should both go to Tulane on ESPN. October 9th, when ECU comes to Yulman Stadium, and they're matched up against Southern Miss, who has a new coach, no longer Will Hall, the former Tulane coach, and coach back with Tulane. So Southern Miss at Georgia Southern. I expect Tulane versus ECU to replace that, although we'll see where ECU is by October 9th. And that game is on a Thursday night, so could be some Thursday night ESPN action, also could be ESPN2. And then on October 30th, Tulane is at UTSA, and they're matched up with Marshall at Coastal Carolina. And that October 30th is also a Thursday night game. So 2 Thursday night games guaranteed to be on linear television, ESPN or ESPN2, both great networks. And I predict that those will end up being on ESPN, especially if Tulane is a really good non-conference and wins at least 3 of the games, especially if they can beat Duke and Ole Miss in the non-conference. That October 30th game is matched up with Marshall at Coastal Carolina. So that is what will be flexed to ESPN or ESPN2, with Tulane being the other game that day. The rest of the non-conference linear schedule, the opener is versus Northwestern on August 30th at 11 in the morning. This is going to be an extremely hot game. As I said, it's going to be the first August day game in New Orleans, outdoors. So should be a really hot and humid game. And so should the Duke game. Darian Mensah returns. I don't even need to talk about this, but this game will be a very anticipated game. I think it already was going to be the most hostile crowd in Yulman Stadium and the most anticipated game in the 12 years of Yulman Stadium. But now many Tulane alumni have told me that they're even more keen on attending this game with the Jake Retzloff transfer news. September 13th was already circled on many people's calendars, and now it is circled on even more. Tulane has played in August 10 times, going back to the Northwestern game. 7 of those 10 were at home, with 1985, 1991, 2002, and 2013 in the Superdome, with 2018, 2019, and 2024 August season openers in Yulman Stadium. However, all 3 of those were at night. So this is the first Yulman Stadium day game in August. After we have the 2 very exciting games between the opener and Duke at home, Tulane will go on the road to play at Ole Miss. And between Northwestern and Duke, Tulane goes to South Alabama, which is no slouch. Tulane won pretty decently well two seasons ago, but most people coming out of the Cotton Bowl thought that South Alabama was going to be the trap game ahead of Ole Miss. This year, it is a potential trap game ahead of Duke, although I expect Tulane not to overlook any opponent and take South Alabama as well as Northwestern seriously before they play Duke on September 13th and then at Ole Miss on September 20th. That Ole Miss game is in some flex windows. It could be the 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. slot, or it could be sometime between 5 and 7 p.m. So we'll see what ends up happening with the last game of the non-conference slate. And then for the American Conference, in addition to Thursday night games that are going to be on ESPN, ESPN2, ECU at home and then at UTSA, and then the at Memphis Friday night game to round out the schedule. They start conference play at Tulsa on September 27th. Then it's the ECU Thursday night game. Then they will host Army, a rematch of the American Conference Championship, no longer the American Athletic Conference Championship, the American Conference Championship. And by the way, that ECU Thursday night game is the first home conference game of the season because that Tulsa game is on the road. After Army, they get a bye week before playing on Thursday night at UTSA, then Friday night at Memphis, and then homecoming on November 15th, which is a Saturday. I would expect that to probably end up being a day game again. Should be a blowout, most likely. Tulane also hosts UNO in basketball the night before that. They start their season on November 3rd. After Florida Atlantic, Tulane goes and plays at Lincoln Financial Field at Temple. And then to finish off the regular season, they play at home versus Charlotte. So this year, it's an interesting schedule. They have a bye week before the before they play on Thursday night, right after their first conference game. And then again, they have a bye week shortly after that before they play again on Thursday night versus UTSA. So they play on October They play on September 27th and then October 9th, 18th, and 30th. So they have about a month stretch almost where they only play twice because they have their bye weeks twice in 4 weeks, which is interesting to note. And then one more storyline for the season. Let's start with the season opener, and we'll get to the rest of the season shortly. Preston Stone was announced that he was going to be the starter, according to Brett McMurphy. He reported that Northwestern's David Braun announced that Preston Stone will be the starting quarterback. And Tulane has seen Preston Stone before. Was the starting quarterback for SMU. He was hurt before the American Conference Championship in 2023, in which Kevin Jennings starred at Yeoman Stadium, who ended up becoming their starting quarterback over Stone in the end last season. It was a battle for the beginning of the season, and Jennings took over and was a very talented quarterback, proved himself. Wasn't great in the college football playoff, but had a great season before that. Stone had the 4th highest PFF passing grade in 2023, only behind Bo Nix, who went 12-3 in 2023 and was the 3rd pick in the 2024 draft. Also he was 3rd in the 2024 Rookie of the Year voting. And then Jaden Daniels went 10-3 in last season and was the NFL Rookie of the Year. And then Carson Beck went 13-1 in 2023 and 11-3 in 2024. Stone led SMU to a 10-2 record in 2023 before missing that conference championship game. But now he gets a chance to play in Yeoman after also missing SMU's 2022 game in Uptown. His first career completion actually came in a blowout over Tulane in 2021 back in Texas. So he has played against Tulane before, but not as the starting quarterback. So I hope you enjoyed the schedule overview for this season. Let me know what you think about the bye weeks, the non-conference slate, and the TV schedule. Thanks so much for watching or listening, and let me know what you want to see in future episodes.